Hey everybody, welcome back to the pod.
Welcome back.
We have another special guest this week, Viken Tashjian. Did I say that right?
Close enough.
Okay, well, starting off on an okay note.
He's gonna get up and leave now.
Okay, yeah. Well, Monica actually, my roommate trained me. She was like, "This is how you say it. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't make a big deal of it." Here I am making a big deal of it.
Embarrass yourself.
On that note, we always start off our podcast like kind of figuring out where we are in the week. It's a Tuesday. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing?
Today I'm doing an 8. I'm
Okay.
Oh, that's
feeling
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Haley, how are you doing?
I think I'm an 8 too, to be honest.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad day.
No.
We're here filming, so
Yeah. It's a great day.
What about you, Bree?
Honestly, I was going to say 8 too.
Whoa,
Yeah.
8's all across.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've ever had 8s
All
at
across.
all.
No.
So that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So good, so good. So we also do question of the weeks, Viken, every time we come on here. So question of the week is, if you had to delete all the apps except 5 on your phone, which 5 would you keep?
5.
It's a tough
All right. YouTube, right? Because everyone's addicted to YouTube.
one. Yep.
My loan calculator has to be on there, so
Yeah.
that's 2.
Your loan okay.
Loan calculator.
Of course.
I have to know what things will cost when they're
Yeah.
amortized. LoopNet is a real estate app. I'd probably keep that on there. I have to keep Car Gurus on there because that's like this generation's Auto Trader.
Okay.
Most of you have no idea what that is. I would assume your demographic will not know what Auto Trader is. But when it come out on a Thursday, you'd have to go buy one to see what car you couldn't afford but you wanted.
Okay.
So that's today's version.
Got it.
And then there's an app called Carrot. My cousin developed.
Heard of that?
Yeah. So
Your cousin developed it.
yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I've
it's
definitely heard of that.
it's got like the daily dig. It's got questions that you answer, and it's meant to help keep you connected
Okay.
and
Wow.
communicate. So those are the 5 I'd keep on there.
That's good.
All right.
Haley, do you know what apps?
Oh man. Yeah, gotta agree with Viken. YouTube for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
Instagram, to keep up with the peeps.
Yep.
The podcast.
Yep.
Probably Netflix. I do love a good movie.
Yeah.
I do love a good movie on the go.
On
you
the
know?
phone. Interesting.
On the phone. You
don't
know when
have
you're
that
on
on your computer.
on your airplane, you just
Yeah.
just put a movie on, put your headphones in, tell the people next to you shut up. You're good to go. What else would I? Oh, the Cafe
nice.
Rio loyalty app, of course. How else would I get my points? How else? And then number 5, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, probably Canva. It helps me a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Social media wise, gotta keep it. Yeah. What about you, Bree?
Well, here's the thing. You guys did not say messaging, phone. Do those count as apps? Because I was going to say text messaging. I would keep text messaging, calling, FaceTime, YouTube. And you guys are going to have a rough time
we're
not using your phone for calling or
Just gonna hang out with
Or
nobody.
text messages.
Send it by pigeon.
I
That's
guess
No, we
so
got
cute.
Carrot. Now I'm telling you, that's how you communicate.
Well then,
even-
scratch that. I want all
It's
5
fine.
carrot.
Yeah, on Carrot. Yeah. And Carrot is my 5th one. All right.
Wow.
Go
So
download
good.
it. Interesting. Okay.
So funny.
Anyways, we're going to dive in to
Okay.
all about Viken.
All about it.
So Viken, we want the Spark Notes version of your life, how you've gotten here now, a little bit about your family, just, all the big points of
Oh man, the
Vegan
big
Who
thing,
is
sorry.
vegan?
That's 51 years of. Are you sure you want to give me that much
we
leeway?
want all of it. You got 5
Yeah.
minutes. Just kidding. And go. Just kidding.
All right. So, how I got here. Well, so let's give me some structure here because
Okay.
what do you want to know about? I'll tell you.
Listen, okay, we want to know how to be as successful as you are. So, the steps that got you to this point. So maybe tell us a little bit about growing up in your 20s. Like, what was your family life like?
Okay.
What was your first job and like your transition into career from college and then into family life and yeah, how you are here now.
Okay.
And then how you got on the podcast.
Yeah, all right. So first job goes back to 13 years old. some dude was handing out flyers. He wanted to turn the aerobics and fitness into a LA Fitness. And he said, if you want to work, show up. So I showed up, rode my bike to Pomona from Laverne, because that's what you did back then. And he handed me a sledgehammer and said, I will pay you $3.50 an hour to knock down every single one of these walls here that were between the racquetball courts. So, I mean, come on, you can't beat that. So I started working at a young age, not because I had to, but I guess just because I did. So as I worked all through high school, really enjoyed having my own money, paid for my own fuel, was able to take my girlfriend out, right? So all that stuff. Didn't have to ask dad for $20 to go to the movies.
Yeah.
My 20s, I would say that I was pretty focused in my 20s. My parents say that, a lot of my friends say the same thing, so I'm not sure why, but I knew that there's certain things I wanted to accomplish. I was working in construction at the time, going to school. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do, right? At 20 years old, I just don't think anybody knows what they want to do. There's very few, and if you're one of them, you're lucky. So
Yeah, that's good to know.
seriously, I mean, you come out of school and they're like, what do you want to do? I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Mount Sac, studying to be an architect. Took me 4 years to realize I hate drawing on a timeline, but I was already pretty deep into getting an AA anyway. Finished that. Was working with an electrician at the time. Saw what it was like to be in construction, how you learn how money works in construction. It's one of the few places where you can see time is money, bidding, right? How you have to calculate what you're going to spend, timelines and so forth, get things done. And I think that's where I got most of my focus and the rest of the trajectory for my drive.
Yeah.
I know that's what I want to do, meaning this is how I want to make my money. But at the same time, I had to do something because I wasn't going to be an architect. My dad went on his own, opened up our insurance agency, and about 6 months later, I joined him. And that's what I've been doing for the last 30 years is an insurance broker. I dabbled in real estate and bought and sold and started early. Bought my primary residence when I was 23.
Oh, wow.
Still live there, love the neighborhood. So my focus wasn't academics. It was, I didn't have a head for school. I didn't care for it.
Yeah. But you got your degree in architecture?
Yeah, an AA. And that was just to basically say, hey, Mom, here's a piece of paper. Look, I did it.
Yeah.
You know, so, but I knew I was never going to draw on a timeline for other people.
Right.
Critiquing my work, right? Because that's how I would have taken it.
Yeah.
I wasn't mature enough to go into a client's house, drawing something for them or going to their business, and then tell me, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have handled that.
Yeah.
So, how did I get here? Well, I know you find folks from church,
Yeah.
and for some odd reason, you felt like
Yeah.
they would be interested in what I have to say.
I really do think so.
Yeah.
And we did forget to mention, we know you from our church.
Yeah.
You're an elder at our church. And I sat down with you a couple weeks ago. I was like, hey, this is me, going to be part of the church. And I was like, hey, do you want to be on our
chance.
podcast? Do you want to talk about finances?
And he said no.
Yeah, and then I cried, and then he said yes.
Oh,
So,
of course.
Yeah.
So funny.
So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing a little bit about how you got here. Where do we want to go next?
I think not only us, but also our viewers would like to know, what's one fun fact about Viken?
A fun fact about me. You could probably talk me into doing just about anything.
Like a podcast?
There's probably, I embarrass my wife and my son more often than I impress them. Let's just say that. You can talk me into doing just about anything.
What's the craziest thing they've talked you into?
I prefer not to say that on film.
Oh, juicy.
Yeah, we forgot to go over what not to talk about with Viken. That's
We'll have
one
to
thing.
ask about that off camera.
Yeah, off camera. That's good. That's
So
gonna
good.
be a good one. Okay, let's get into a little bit more on a deep dive on what you just talked about, finance-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were in your 20s, hey, I'm going to take over and then we'll switch it back. Oh, there's a train.
Bye, train.
Bye, train. Oh, that was a long one. That's a
was.
longer train than usual. Very interesting.
Let's get back to it.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
No, it's okay.
Whoa. Okay, when you were in your 20s, where did you expect to be financially? Where at this point in your life? So
This
when you were
point?
50, or when you were 20 and you were thinking about, okay, when I'm 50, this is where I see myself.
I'm probably right about where I thought I would be. I didn't have any delusions of grandeur. I didn't think I was going to be a millionaire. I didn't think I was going to be wealthy by society standards. My goals were, I thought, okay, these are my goals, and I never thought I wouldn't hit those goals.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty much where I thought I would be.
Yeah.
And if you want me to define what that means, I can. But I am where I thought I'd, which is odd to say that, but
I mean, that's
I'm
great.
right where I thought I'd
How
be.
did you do that? That's what I want to know. Like, how did you, like, set that vision? Like, did you have? I guess the question is, like, did you have a vision for yourself in your 20s? Because I feel like some people
did.
just don't.
I did. My and this is not me toot my horn or saying I'm great or I had things laid out like I wanted to have my house by the time I was 25. I figured married by 27. I figured kids by around 30. A couple of those a little ahead of time. House at 23, got married at 25, and then Nathan showed up when I was 30. So that one was on the mark.
That one was planned.
Yeah.
And it's time.
So I always knew that I was going to try and invest in real estate. I didn't understand money markets. I didn't understand the mutual funds. It all seemed like hocus pocus to me. I still can't figure out, by the way, but I contribute to those things because there's a lot of people smarter than me that do. So I figured in some ways you just have to trust the process.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to see that process. Maybe I'm just picking the wrong people.
Yeah.
I don't know, but real estate was what I wanted to do, not as my main profession, but I knew I wanted to do something there. And I always drove towards that goal. So it was never, oh, this is what I want to do, and then just wandered around in circles.
Yeah.
You have to have a plan in place.
Yeah.
If you don't have direction, neither will your money.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it. If you don't have direction, neither will your money.
So what things did you do in your 20s to set you up for where you are now? Like what would you say were the key steps that you took?
Man, I mean, when I say I was hyper focused, I was laser focused, not because I'm disciplined, but because that was my interest. So don't get me wrong. I'm like this. I'm not like this super disciplined person. That was my leveling up. Like watching my savings account grow was like what kids do now to level up. Look at all these coins I have in my video. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And it became infectious. So it was definitely having restraints on my spending. All my buddies used to tease me and call me, hey, there's thrifty. All right, so, but I think having some success early on, like I bought a dirt bike at 16. I got a loan for the next one at 18. I paid it off in a year. My dad put a down payment on a truck for me, and it was like, I thought, wow, this is a lot of money. But to show him appreciation, I told him, I'm gonna pay this off in a year.
Yeah.
And so as I started understanding how finances work and the benefits of hitting those goals, achieving that, it did set up a discipline. And then once I was done with that truck, I thought, well, I have excess funds now. Well, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And that's what started. I started saving. And then I thought, okay, well, am I just saving to have a big bank account? No, I have a target that I want to hit. So.
Yeah. Did you do like investing at all in your 20s, or was it mostly just like saving up for a house or saving? Yeah.
Saving up for a house. That was my primary goal, was let me get into a house.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Do you think it's possible? Because I'm like, I don't see how it's possible because I'm saving and I'm like working and I have a pretty good job. Like I feel like I'm on track where like one day I would be able to buy a house. But looking at housing prices and seeing all that, it just seems like so far out there without like, thinking about putting 20% down on like a, I don't know, $800,000 house. Like that's a lot of money.
I have this conversation with my son and in his age group, and we had a different opportunity. So when I bought my first home in '95, that house was a bank repo at $135,000. And by the way, a turnkey home was only $155,000. Okay, well, everyone's like, well, for inflation, if we make the adjustment, forget that. The reality is, at $42,000 a year, I was buying a $135,000 house. Do the math. That's what, 4 times my income?
Yeah.
Okay, well, 4 times my income to buy $800,000. I'd have to be making $200,000 a year to do that. Doesn't mean it can't be done. It just, it's a different ballgame. And I didn't come out of school with a bunch of debt. And my peers who went to school, when they went to school, it was affordable.
Right.
So there's a different social shift as well. So you come out of school with an education, you have something that nobody can take away from you. There's value there. But you do have an uphill battle.
Yeah.
Now look, $800,000 in California, you can buy a house somewhere.
Not a great, not probably here.
You can buy, right, exactly. So if you want to stay in California, you have your work cut out for you. I would say that keep saving.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, haven't given much thought what investment vehicles for someone who's 23, 25, what you would do to try and multiply your money in order to attain that goal.
Right.
I guess if I gave it some thought, I could circle back for you and go, okay, what strategies could you employ? But YouTube probably could answer that question for you as well. But it's a different ballgame right now. You guys are facing something very different.
Yeah. It's really interesting. It's a wild time out there.
It is wild. So crazy. So when you were in your 20s, what were your dreams? And did finances play a part in that? Like, did you have like these big financial goals?
I was very financially driven. So, I mean, my dreams were the typical dreams for a 20-year-old, right? I shouldn't assume that. My dreams for a 20-year-old were specific to what I was going to look like, right? So I was in the gym. I'm going to look like this the rest of my life. And, man, so you walk by a mirror and you never stop. You're always looking at a mirror. It's so stupid, but that's 20 years old male. That's what you do, right? And then, this is what I'm going to drive. This is what this big fantasy picture is going to look like. So you have those things.
Right.
But from a financial standpoint, again, I was so money driven.
Yeah.
I was so money driven that was always going to be the primary focus of my life until I had to take a step back and realize that there's someone more important than money. Once I started going back to church and getting my life back on track, I realized that I can't let this consume me and drive me.
Yeah.
So.
Kind of leads into the next question of like how you kind of talked about it, like you were so driven by finances. So how did that kind of affect your social life, like either your relationships or you kind of talked about like your faith in your church and how that was affecting that. So like what either got you back into like realizing there were other things than finances, and also like that whole path of like what do you think led you into being so driven by finances and then kind of balancing out?
Yeah, I'd say that how it affected me socially is I think I missed out on some of the things that you should be doing in your 20s. You go take a trip somewhere. just go. You have time. You're not married. You don't have, at least, I wasn't married at 20, right? So I was making enough. I was doing good enough to where I could go spend a little bit on myself, go enjoy life a little bit. But I was holding on to that so dearly that, no, my goal was so precious that I didn't enjoy the things around me. So what does it do? It makes it tough on the people around you. My girlfriend, now my wife, right? So as we get older, 23, 25, 27, everything seems frivolous. Well, enjoying life is not frivolous. So it definitely did direct what I did socially. What was you asked about something else?
Faith, like, 'cause you
The
kind of
faith aspect, yeah. I had been in church all my life. Finally got tired of some of the things that were happening. The people. I wasn't able to separate the difference between my Creator and the people who are supposed to be His followers, right? And I soured on the people, and therefore I soured on church. So from 20 to 30, there really wasn't any interaction in church. So I didn't have those sermons or those lessons that teach you about your time, your talent, what you're supposed to do, what God calls you to do. And in reality, it's all His anyway, right?
Right.
But when you're apart from your Christian faith, everything is yours. You're in charge of your destiny. You're in charge of your direction. That aspect, I would say I was like this, right? Maybe been laser focused on finances, but my life was just one big swerve after another.
What do you think finally got you, like you said, like 20 to 30s, it was swerving.
Yeah.
What do you think finally got you, like, more like, oh, my faith is like where it's at? Or would you say like that's where you're at now?
My life felt disjointed. Kelly, I knew something was off. Kelly and I were, and we just, things weren't clicking. Actually, in reality, things were just not good at all. And my brother of all people, younger brother, he said, until you fix yourself, you can't fix anything. And I said, I said, life doesn't have a handbook. He grabbed his Bible and he said, it's right here. It's right here, And so a buddy of mine invited me to go to Grace Church. And I was like, yeah, I'm not foreign to church. I know what that's about. And I went back and it didn't take very long at all for me to realize this is what was missing.
Yeah.
And eventually, once you unpack the trunk of garbage that's in you and you start realizing that, wow, why did I keep that rotten piece of food in the fridge? And start tossing those things out, that's when everything started to line up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Okay, so you talked about your faith and finances in your faith. The other thing that I'm curious about is I feel like it's very rare to find somebody who, like, from the beginning, like from 20 years old, was hyper focused on finances. Do you think, like, did your parents, like, is that how you were raised? Or do you think, like, you just started growing up and was like, this is my goal and I get there by being financially motivated?
Man, I think there was something that sparked it. And I believe it was the influence I had during the years I worked construction. The employer I worked for, whom I still keep in touch with.
Yeah.
The way he thought just made sense to me. He was 28, I was 18 when I started with him. So at 28, he had already done very well for himself, and he was an electrical contractor. So it was a spark. Something hit, something made sense. And I don't know if I could give you a formula that says, this is how you're going to train yourself to all of a sudden want this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It literally was something that I wanted.
Yeah.
Something that clicked. It said, this appeals to me.
Yeah.
And from that point, it just continued from there.
Yeah.
And as you see successes in that area, you're like, wow, this really worked.
Yeah.
And then when you have, I mean, there was 2008 rolls around, and
Right.
you're like, whoa. But then again, you learn that, oh, I'm going to be just fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a way to make somebody think that way. That's
Right.
all.
Yeah. That's interesting. Like, there's the different personalities go at it differently in their 20s, and you kind of figure out, okay, well, we kind of talk about this on the podcast, like the different like aspects of figuring out life, like finances, social, community, faith, whatever. And some people are more inclined in different ways. Like, sounds like you were more financially inclined. I don't really know where I am. I feel like I'm kind of more financially, socially inclined. Maybe add faith in there. But yeah, everybody has their different strengths, and it's figuring out, okay, where the weaknesses, or not weaknesses, or where the areas of growth that I need to go in. So.
Yeah. But, there's part of the like that feeling of it's kind of floating in a boat, not knowing what to do, is because you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
If that's anybody watching, or if that's the two of you, there's someone who's has some sort of an answer for whatever. When someone asks you, why have you not done that? And like, well, because I don't know what to do, or go ask someone, right? But if you're someone who is not even thinking about that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to, you have to have that in you for something to ignite.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, you don't have it.
Right.
You don't care about those things. I'll tell you when you do care is when your peers are leaving you behind. When your peers are leaving you behind, and all of a sudden they're like, whoa, what do you mean? You're at this point in your life. This is what's going on. What happened? Then you wake up.
Yeah.
And you look back and go, wow, the things they did, this is what they're doing now.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you get your stuff together.
Yeah.
And you hop on board. For some people it's 20, some 25, others it's 30.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Did you see that happen in your friend group? Like, people like wake up and catch up, and
all of a sudden they're like 30 years old, and they realize they should have been a grown up by now. But they get on their horse and they ride, man. They get after it, and it's never too late.
Yeah.
But if you don't have goals, people can't make them for you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So if you do have a goal and you're like, well, I feel like I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, then you better ask somebody.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the answer, I don't have the answers for everything. You know how many times I go to somebody on the elder board who's just smarter than me?
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, you have experience in this area. I have no problem going to them saying, I have no idea. Map this out for me. Just do it. I mean, don't let your pride get in the way.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah, because I feel like sometimes I'm in that mode where, like, I think about me, and like I have this goal or dream, I guess, of like doing seminary school. But I'm like, I don't really want to be in ministry or work in ministry. So what can I do with this degree or this passion that I have for like learning about the Bible? And that's what's holding me back, is like, is this something that I want, that God wants me to do? And I feel like I get held back a lot by like, questioning, is this the right move, versus like just going for it and doing it because it's something that I am passionate about. So.
Well, I would ask you then, what have you to lose?
Money.
Well, you can't be afraid.
Yeah.
You can't be afraid to lose time or money if it's an investment. So I'm not saying don't worry about your money, and just, I'm saying, look, you're focused, right? You have a goal, you have a direction. Don't be afraid to take a chance.
Yeah.
Might take a little bit of time, might take some money. And if it didn't pan out, it didn't pan out, but you would have answered that question.
Yeah. That's so true.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I'm speaking as if it's so easy, like as if I have no problem doing that. That's not the case. What I'm telling you is that I've been told this before,
it's a
and
good
now
word.
I'm telling it to you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
that's a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we all.
Needed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, with everything that you said, what is some advice that you would like to give people who are in their 20s that you wish you had in your 20s from somebody from your age point?
20s. I'm not sure this has to do directly with finances, but my biggest downfall is that I didn't listen to enough perspectives. I was very narrow-minded. Part of that was because I was very prideful, right? So just because someone has a different opinion than you doesn't mean you don't listen. So listen. 100 different opinions may be coming in. 3 of them may fit.
Yeah.
But at least you listened. Don't be closed-minded. Don't be afraid that this may not align with me politically, socially, or align with my religious beliefs. So I would have told myself, Viken, don't be so narrow-minded, because that kept me from being more successful. If I'm successful, if people say, Viken, you're successful, I will tell them that by being narrow-minded, it held me back. Yeah.
Another good word.
Yeah.
That was good.
He's so good.
Yeah. This has been really informational for me and encouraging for me, because I feel like there's just so much wisdom in you.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing the wisdom.
Yeah, it was great.
We're going to go into our little outro.
Okay.
You said you've watched our first 4 episodes. So
I did.
thank you for doing that.
We feel
Blown
so
away.
blessed.
We feel
So
very,
blessed.
very blessed. But we're going to do our POVs.
Okay.
So Viken, your POV number 1. What is your POV?
Ooh. This is where I might anger some of the
I'm
I'm
excited
sweating
for
now. I'm like, my point of view. I'll keep it somewhat light.
Okay.
I feel like right now the world is in the Twilight Zone. And I don't know if you know what the Twilight Zone is.
Yes.
Okay. It seems like, because you know the show, right?
Yep.
It defies logic, defies gravity, it defies everything. Everything is flipped upside down. And I think right now, the world has gone mad. None of it. It seems like there's no logic involved. That's just how I feel. I can't. You turn on TV, and you're like, how is it that anybody could think that's accurate?
Yeah.
Or, so that's my point of view.
That's a deep POV.
That's a good one.
We like that. All right.
You go,
Haley,
Bree.
no, you're going next, because I always do something deep, and then I'm like, oh, shoot. Haley's
true.
talking about mint chip ice cream.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So you're going next.
Okay. Well, mine's very lighthearted again.
Yeah.
No, you can't do. I mean, she poured out her heart in the last one. She's like, this is what I think, and you're like, oh, mint chocolate chips shouldn't be ice cream. We're not letting you off the hook.
I told you.
We're not letting you off the hook.
Okay, so
No.
I'm going to go next
Yes,
with the
you're
deep
gonna go
POV.
next.
All right, I've got to think of one. I'm stressing.
pressure's on.
Now I'm Viken over here.
Yeah, that's right.
sweating.
I feel like maybe this might not be too deep, but I think it's something I've been realizing in the last week, because I've been reading through Genesis and Exodus. And I think I read through the New Testament every year. Actually multiple times a year, because it's usually very encouraging to me. Jesus' life, I'll cry. It's a great morning. But I think reading through Genesis and Exodus and the stories of how, he's faithful to each generation, to the generation of the Israelites, and then realizing that we're adopted into that family, I think that's something that, maybe me personally, I need to read, multiple times a year. And so I think I've gotten into the habit of, okay, I'll read, half the new, or half the Old Testament in, the year, or, whatever I can fit into it, because I'm usually just more interested by the New Testament. POV is that the Old Testament's better than the New Testament.
Ooh.
So.
That's a bold statement.
That's a bold statement.
Wow.
I know. Jesus is in the New Testament. I don't know. It's a bold statement, but there's so many good stories, and I feel like you can see Jesus in the Old Testament.
God's in the Old Testament,
Yeah.
right? So.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
All
good.
right, Haley, I'm
All right,
very
okay.
scared for this deep POV. Beacon challenged
listen,
you.
yours doesn't have to be deeper than that because that was pretty deep.
Dang it. Well, I just thought of a deep one.
You're going to do it.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so...
You're going to be taking over your show. You're not going to have me back now.
No.
Beacon's on every week. It's
Yeah,
POV with Beacon and Haley.
No, Beacon and Bree. Beacon and Bree.
I was going to say Beacon, Haley, and Bree, but you're trying to kick one of us off.
I'm gotta go. No, I'm just kidding. I think my POV is just I've just been trying to reflect on my relationship with God recently, and I felt like at Young Adults last night it was super refreshing to talk about how we're doing a series about the busyness and the hurriness of life, and trying to just have a relationship with God in that. And we talked about really keen on the Sabbath.
Yeah.
And the importance of the Sabbath and what that looks like for different people. And I thought it was super interesting how we just talked about how it doesn't have to, like, obviously it was designed for a whole day, but to intentionally spend time with God, obviously, just even if it's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, a couple of hours, I think that's so great. And I thought how me and Bree recently went to...
I was thinking about that. I was like, we were talking in Young Adults about Sabbath, and I was like, dang, the day.
Yeah, I took a day off of work and we went to the beach and we intentionally spent time with God. And
Together.
It was like for the first time in a while that I had actually like heard God's voice, and so it was very refreshing, and like I felt that's like what I needed to hear in the moment to like keep on pursuing God and to intentionally make time with Him, and so it was super cool. So that's my POV. That's my deep POV.
I'm so proud of you. Thank you for challenging her.
Yeah, that's
I
my
always
biggest
want to.
trivia.
But yeah. Beacon's gonna be the chair guy.
Uh-oh.
Chair guy. You got
Watch
a
out.
rival competition.
Well, vote on it. We'll see.
Well, guys, this has been
good.
a really cool, really refreshing. I don't know why I can't say that word. I said it in
Refreshing?
another episode. Refreshing episode. Talking about faith and finances. So thank you for being here.
Yeah,
we
thanks
really
so much.
appreciate you
Welcome.
taking
Thanks for
time.
having me.
Yeah, we'll have you on again.
Yeah. Next week, actually.
Next week, all right.
Yeah, we'll just keep on going.
Be here,
It's
be
just-
square. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week when we talk about...
POV.